So we should be good.
Okay.
Hey, good morning, everyone. We're ready for another visit to the land of small plates. This is Tim West, and I'm joined, as always, by my good friend and colleague, Eric Valentine. You still there, Eric?
Hey, hey,
Hey,
I am.
yeah. So where are you, Eric?
I am still holed up in NOLA.
All right. So
Yeah.
you're hanging out there. I am still in Austin, Texas, but today it's raining. So anyway, this goes to tell you that we're not just sitting down doing these all day, all night. So anyway, we're going to continue our trip down the process of looking at short-term decisions, or the differential costing chapter. And this is a new one, and this is also a classic. And so our focus on this one is going to be what we would call, oops, I want my red back, okay, outsourcing. And Eric, tell us a little bit about just generally what does that mean in terms of outsourcing? When you think about it, what does it mean?
Yeah, we lots of other people call it the make or buy, and this
Oh, okay, yeah.
is actually the exact same thing. So your choices are: do I want to make a component in house, or do I want to outsource it to an outside supplier? Which one is more cost effective for me, and based on my capacity and all the other factors?
And I hope everybody saw that word reared its head again, capacity.
Yep.
So I bet you're going to talk about that in a little bit.
Yes,
So one of the challenges that we said in our previous video was that it's always interesting and somewhat difficult to read these problems. All right. So if I look at this one, I've got the company, they're making some machinery. They're considering outsourcing production of, so this is a small part. These ball bearings are a small part of the machinery they're making. So they're trying to decide if they want to continue to make the ball bearings internally, or they want somebody else to make them for them. And they'll just buy them from the external supplier. Then they give you some information about your annual costs, and you'll notice those are in per unit. On a per unit basis. That's a classic professor trick that Eric's going to reveal to us shortly, because the key here is that to get those per unit amounts, we know that we've got 20,000 units that we're talking about. Okay, so
Yep.
Those things are mission critical, and he's going to take us through that in a minute. Our outside supplier, however, will sell us all 20,000 of those ball bearings for 940,000. So as Eric said, the question is, can I save enough cost by not making them internally to offset the amount that this external supplier is going to charge us? So Eric, take us through your analysis. He put this together for you guys, and it's really nice and neat, and what we in academics call elegant. Professor Valentine, the floor is all yours.
All right. So, well, we have our 20,000 units, the total cost for 20,000 units.
Okay, so you're saying this came from our previous work, from the
Correct.
problem, okay?
Correct. And so we just took our per unit cost, multiplied by 20,000 to get our total cost for 20,000 units. So the absorption cost, the full cost of these 20,000 units is $1,240,000.
Okay. So, and what makes it that full cost?
That is all of your variable costs plus your fixed allocation, plus your fixed.
So this thing is this special?
Yeah, it is special. I don't know if you can see on a data slide.
Let me go back and check.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, this is tricky.
Yeah.
What's going on here, Eric? I don't have any of these totals, man. So what's the story?
So we have those per unit costs. We multiply by 20,000.
So if I took this 16 is what you're saying.
Correct. Yes, yes, yes. The 16, and we multiply it by the 20,000 units. Yep. So that's how, and so each one of these is multiplied by 20,000. And so that's how we came with the total full cost of 1,240,000.
Now, one question I think students always kind of stumble on or stumble when they face it is this information was given to you in a per unit basis. So on the surface, it looks variable, okay? But what you're telling me is that's just a trick. It's an illusion.
Oh yeah, yeah. The pie does not change with the volume.
Okay.
It's how the slices will determine the per unit cost. So at this stage, our allocation is $16 per unit, but that $320,000 is it's just fixed. It's not going to change whether we make 20,000 units, whether we make 0 units. That $320,000 is always going to stay there.
Well, we're on the hook for that regardless.
Yes.
Okay. So then the next thing you're taking a look at then is once you've decided the cost structure and behavior, you're going in here next and saying, okay, what's relevant to my decision? What's relevant to my decision? And we harped on that in the previous, our previous video. You got to always know what's the relevant data to make your decision. So when you talk about the relevant costs here, what do you got?
Absolutely. So our relevant costs are those costs that change between the two alternatives. Remember the mantra, if it doesn't change, it doesn't matter.
Oh, that's right. That's right. So no change, no matter.
Yep, exactly.
Is that Spike Lee's new movie?
Yes.
All right. Okay. Old man joke. All right.
So what does change is our direct materials. If we make our units, then we're going to incur direct materials. If we make our own units, we're going to incur direct labor and our variable manufacturing overhead. Now, if we decide to buy them, then of course, if we buy them from the outside, we don't have any materials for production. If we buy from the outside, we have no labor for production, and our variable manufacturing overhead, it goes away as well.
So these would go away
if we decide to buy them from the outside.
With outsourcing, okay.
Yes.
So is that why you have them in a column by themselves? So this would you consider this the benefit side if we decide to outsource?
Well,
in terms of costs that go away?
Yeah. You can consider it that way, yes.
All right. So if you want to just, I mean, it's kind of a stretch, but you might think about this as why our company's better off if we make this decision. So that's a strange little benefit, little twist on it, I think. Yeah. Okay. And so, but we're comparing those costs that go away, right, to something. So what do you got?
We're comparing that to the cost to buy it from the outside. And so if we buy the 20,000 units from an outside supplier, our total cost is going to be the 940,000. That's the contract. That's the bid price that they offered us.
Now, again, let's go back and look at our data and make sure everybody sees where that comes from, right? So it was in the problem. So don't forget where it came from. Okay.
Yeah. I also want to, on that narrative, I found that I created a word there called unavoidability. It's supposed to be the last sentence, all the fixed costs are unavoidable. I don't know what that word is, but I was typing
that's okay. So this one is a special term that you could only use late at night. So I understand, but if you choose to use it on an exam, we'll know exactly what you mean.
Right.
All right. So
but that's a key component, though. What that line said was that those fixed costs are unavoidable whether you decide to make the ball bearings yourself or you decide to buy them from the outside supplier.
Okay.
That's why they're nowhere in our analysis, because it didn't change, so it didn't matter. We just left it off.
So my mistake. This one is the one that's unavoidable.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah.
And as a result, it's not part of this. And it's not part of this because it's not changing, as Eric said. No
correct.
change, no matter.
Yep.
All right. Okay. So now what happens?
So now we take our total cost. So our
Okay.
total cost, the total cost of manufacturing the 20,000 ball bearings, our real cost is 9,000. Our variable cost is $920,000.
Okay.
So it's actually costing us $920,000 to make it. The other fixed costs are they're allocated to us, so they're not really
Yep.
of our segment really.
They don't come to the party.
Exactly. Our bid price was $940,000 for an outside supplier, and we're $20,000 better off doing it ourselves.
Okay. So what's my final decision then? Because it looks like the 920, which would be our cost savings if we chose to outsource, as you point out, is less than what it costs to outsource. So what does this mean in terms of a final decision? Are we going to do the outsourcing or not?
We are not. We're going.
Okay.
We're going to make this ourselves.
All right, because it's cheaper.
Yes.
Because it's cheaper. Okay.
In effect, what you're asking is, you're asking us to pay $940,000 in order to save $920,000.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, from just a practical business standpoint, that clearly is kind of the bottom line acid test that Eric lays out for you right there. So anything else in this problem that we need to deal with? Because I don't know about you, but I've got a part 2 down here at the bottom that
Yes.
might be of interest.
So let's go back to our data.
Oh, okay. All right.
Now, if you can make that a little bit smaller.
I can try.
Yeah. We have right there. So
Okay.
part 1 was what we just did.
All right.
Alternatives, should they make or buy? We determined that. Part 2, hey, here's a twist. If we decide to buy from the outside supplier, that space that we're manufacturing the ball bearings in now can be rented out for $100,000.
Oh, okay. So you could turn it into a really nice Airbnb
there you go.
inside your facility. All right. Okay.
There you go. No alarm needed.
No.
The morning shift will wake you up.
That's exactly right. Okay, so you've got this new option. Somebody has brought to the table that, okay, if we're not going to make these, if we're going to go ahead and outsource it, then we could rent out our space. And so how does that then come in here and affect our decision?
Well, the primary part of the analysis is exactly the same. We still have the 940,000, the 920,000 cost to buy. But if we buy from the outside, then we have a $100,000 offset. That's basically our revenue. That's why, because what we're looking at now are costs, and so we have that in red because that's a revenue piece. So we're actually, in this case, we're spending spending $840,000 in order to save $920. So we're actually $80,000 ahead.
Oh, okay. So this is the benefits are greater than the cost in this sense. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So the benefit. Go ahead.
Our bid price is $940,000, but now we have generated outside income of $100,000.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Our actual outlay, our net outlay, is $840,000.
Okay. So instead of comparing the 940 now to the 920 with the rent to offset that, we're comparing these two, and that changes the game. So that's the interesting challenge. So once again, as Eric said, when you go back to the data, make sure you look at all the pieces, because information is sprinkled throughout these problems, and you can overlook it fairly easily. And so what Eric has done for you is given you a framework, okay, to kind of set this problem up. One of the big takeaways, no change, no matter. And then finally, look for alternative income, or in this case, rent, that offset some of the costs to outsource, because you now have new capacity and space in your facility. Anything else you want to add here, Eric?
No, we didn't use the term, but you will see that as an opportunity cost. So
Oh, okay.
primary example of an opportunity cost. So wanted to make sure that if you see that anywhere else, that's exactly what that rent is.
That's a good one. Okay.
We don't have it yet, but it's an opportunity for us.
Okay, that's great. All right. Anything else?
We're good.
All right. I think we're good. We certainly are having just a marvelous time doing these things. So,
oh boy.
yeah, exactly. So we'll catch you next time. We're going to do a couple more of these videos for you on the different short-term decisions that you can make. I hope this one was helpful. You guys take care.
Take care. See you soon, hopefully.
All right.
All right. Bye.